The one thing I appreciate about this amazing Renaissance Man platform is I get a chance to talk to some of my favorite people, but also some of the people that I get a chance to watch them grow and mature in the game. Please welcome one of the most talented people in acting. He's a philanthropist, my brother, Michael Ealy, joining me. Thanks a lot, my brother.
Hey man, nice to see you again. Nice to see you again. As always, we did come up together.
That's what I'm
We
saying.
did.
That's what's
Yeah, we
crazy.
came up together.
So, what inspired you to be an actor?
Oh man. So for me, it was kind of random actually. I obviously grew up watching movies like everybody else, but what really did it for me was some friends of mine were making a movie. Right. They made a movie right after we graduated college. Right. I graduated high school, and I saw it after I finished my first year in college. And what I learned was when I saw the movie, I thought I could do better. So I
Hmm.
was like, well, next time you guys do a movie, let me know, and I'll be your guy. I'm gonna be your guy. And they were like, yeah, okay. And then sure enough, the next summer they wrote another movie, and they were like, look, we're gonna do this. You said you wanted to be the guy, then come audition. And I was like, audition, like for y'all, sure enough, I ended up auditioning with them, and they had some other guys from the neighborhood come through and audition as well, which was interesting. And needless to say, I got the part. So I spent summer of 1993, I want to say,
Hmm.
working on this movie with them. Now we never finished this movie, but the seed had been sown. I knew I was hooked at that point. I knew that everything I was going to try to do after that was going to be kind of heading in this direction. And so that's what I did.
And as you acknowledged, we met on your first big break, a movie that
First,
I know that was completed because I was in it,
right.
Barbershop. And we
Yeah.
were in the same scene at the same time, which is all love. But we
Yeah.
also hear 5 years before that, you were actually a waiter.
Yeah. Even
So
not
what
even
about
five
that
years.
transition?
I was a waiter like 6 months before that. I mean,
Oh,
like,
you were a
yeah,
waiter
like,
for like you were a waiter for 5 years before you got your opportunity with Barbershop.
yeah, yeah. Because barbershop kind of came. I mean, it's just divine intervention in a lot of ways. So I had come out to LA. I was waiting tables in New York. I had done a couple of projects, one of which was a pilot for ABC, and that didn't get picked up. So I was back in the restaurant, and then I decided to come out to LA for a couple of weeks just to see what it's like to pound the pavement out there, out here, and I came out, and a buddy of mine named Russell Hornsby, phenomenal actor, he told me about auditions for a movie called Barbershop. And so, needless to say, I started putting things in motion with my people in New York to get me an audition and da 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 da. They got me a pre-read with the casting director's associate. And from that pre-read, I was able to get to the director for a read. And I read three characters, and he all he said to me was nice choices. That was it. And that's all I needed to hear, because after that, you know, I left that audition and decided to move to LA, because LA at that time gave me an opportunity to be in the room with the director. Unlike New York back then, a lot of times you put yourself on tape and they sent it out and you never saw it again. If you heard, you heard. If you didn't, you didn't. But this one, I was like, okay, so I get a chance to be in the room with the director. I need to do whatever it takes to make sure I have that kind of impact in the room. And so 12 days later, moved to Los Angeles.
That's what's up. Do
Yeah.
you have a funny or a crazy story about your experience as a waiter, and what did it teach you?
Yes, a couple things. Uh, One, the first and foremost is never mess with a waiter. because, you know, I'm not gonna say what I saw, but I know that people do, you know, can people curse on this podcast?
Absolutely. You can say whatever
Okay.
you want to say.
Okay, cool. I didn't know, you know, we was being funny.
Yeah, we don't.
People with your food. You know what I mean? people with your food. I've seen it, and you know, I all I'm saying is I don't with waiters. You know what I mean? If you don't like it, you don't like your service, get out of there clean. Don't eat. You know what I mean? But don't with your service. Don't with your waiter. So that was one thing. The other thing was I learned that a lot of like I was able to study people's like body movements and how people's behavior patterns, right? So you would see a guy come in with a girl, and I could tell if it was the first date because you know, cats on a first date is like, yeah, what would you like? Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, whatever she likes, whatever she wants, that's cool. Yeah, and let the lady order first. Absolutely, so chivalrous, right? And then, you know, couple months later, they come in with the same girl, and it's like, you know, what can I get you? And it's like, yeah, let me get these rice and beans and some jerk chicken, and you know, give me a rum punch. What you want? So you could tell like the dude, he had already hit it. He was good. He was like, you know, he felt real comfortable, and all that chivalry just died. You know, a lot of it just died, and it really, it kind of peaked me to the game of, you know, trying to never try to stop being chivalrous. You know what I mean? Like, pay attention to that. You know what I mean? Always court your lady.
Absolutely. So now that you've achieved an amazing level of success, where's some of your favorite places to dine?
Oh, what city?
Anywhere in the world.
Wow.
East Coast, West Coast, down south, Midwest, anywhere.
Wow. Okay. Out here in LA, there's a couple restaurants like Bavel, Jelina's. Those are like some of my favorites out here. On the East Coast in New York, man, I got to be honest with you, I don't even know what's there anymore because, you know, I know COVID has really, you know, kind of crushed some things. In Chicago, I'd say Girl and the Goat. Oh man, yeah. I'm just hoping some of these restaurants make it through. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's kind of scary out there right now, especially in the restaurant business.
The theme for this episode is let your passion be your purpose. After all the success you've achieved over the years, what's kept you being passionate about your craft?
A good question. I think mostly I still love it, right? And what I've learned about it over the years, that no matter how much the business has changed, no matter how much the business model has changed, what I've learned is there's still some purity in what I do, right? So I just recently shot a pilot for ABC, and it was my first project working under the COVID protocols. And people were like, yo, how was it? Is it different? Is it what? And yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening, but from the moment the director yells action to the moment he yells cut, it still felt the same. And so in a lot of ways, the purity of what I do, whether it's on television or film, is still there. And the enjoyment and the excitement is still there. You know, getting back to the stage is something I'm longing to do. I don't know when theaters will open back up again, but there's a purity in what I do, and I'm still passionate about it. And lastly, what I've learned is it's a journey, right? Like people, like you just said, you know, you've accomplished so much. And in a lot of ways I have, but in a lot of ways I have so much more to do. And I feel like what I've learned is there's a journey here. There's a journey that transcends the destination, if that makes sense, right? So for me, what I've learned is that my journey, my process is what I should enjoy, because the destination means it's kind of over, right? Like for a lot of people, you know, they get into this game, and I guess, you know, you can speak to this. You guys kind of came into the league pursuing a championship, right? That's the goal. And then once you get one, then what? Like, what's the
Keep balling.
expectation, right?
One more.
Yeah, exactly. One more, right? Once you get 5 or 6, then what? Like, you've reached the pinnacle multiple times, but you still have over half your life to live once you stop playing. So what's the next journey, right? Like, what are you going to do next? And so for me, you know, obviously now that I'm a father, there's a journey in that, right? There's a whole new journey in that. There's a journey in, as an actor, like, I'm going to direct, I'm going to produce, I still have people like, when are you going to direct and produce? You know, and I'm like, yeah, I still got goals as an actor though. Right. So for me, the thing I love about what I do is that these goals, there's so many I still have to achieve. None of them are getting awards. That's not the goal. The goal is to be able to do the kind of projects that you're passionate about, not the kind of jobs that pay you. Because there's a difference.
No question. I want to send a shout out to the OG Dr. Dre and tell him to get well soon, because you just said something that reminded me of him. Is because he would come with a classic project and he would take his time before he put out something else.
Right.
And it'll be years and years. Right. Chronic 1 is out. We standing on the table screaming for Chronic 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? And doing what you've done for a living and will continue to do an amazing job of, not only do you have to be talent, but you have to be selective on navigating your roles. So what is the process or strategy that goes into picking the roles that you ultimately decide that you want to be in that film?
It's an interesting question, because there's actually, the answer is twofold, right? Like, there's a strategy in terms of, is this role going to speak to you as an artist? And, or 2, is this role going to be something you can be proud of, right? And I learned that from Mr. Portier, right? I read his autobiography before I even got started in all this. And it was abundantly clear that he only wanted to take roles that would technically make his parents proud and push the imagery of the Black man forward. That's a concern of mine. Now, it doesn't mean I won't take a challenging role that, you know, may adhere to a stereotype. But if I do, I'm going to be selective about which role that is and why. So when I take a role like the one I took in For Colored Girls, where, you know, I'm known for throwing kids out of the window, what I was trying to do was find a way to be responsible about that, because that's a very heavy, heavy subject. And what I learned from research was, this is a soldier, a former veteran, who's struggling with PTSD. And and you learn about the veterans medical system, you understand there's all kinds of problems, and there's brothers who are really struggling. And so that was my approach towards that particular role. And I wanted to make that abundantly clear, that I wasn't just some random dude who threw his kids out of the windows. This is someone who's suffering from mental illness and traumatic stress. So again, that's being careful about your selection and making sure that you're not just putting out stereotypes or putting out, you know, imagery that can be labeled as such, right? So there's that. And then 2, some jobs you got to take because it's like, you know, I got kids, man. I gotta make some money. I gotta, you know, keep this going. And, you know, and then there's other things that you're more passionate about that are like dream projects that, you know, you try and put together. And those are the kind of things that you're just genuinely really, really proud of. And regardless of the success, because you got it done. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things you just got to get done for personal reasons.
Well, I'm glad you found time for me, because you stay busy. You even have a film out right now. Congratulations. Your current role, you're starring in Fatale alongside Academy Award winning actress Hilary Swank. Tell us
Yeah.
more about the film. What was it like working with Hilary?
So Fatale is noir LA thriller, right? And we shot this thing in LA a couple years ago, and it was an incredible shooting experience. Obviously one where I got to work with Deon Taylor for the second time as a director. I got to work with he's what?
He's a beast.
He's a beast. He's a hustler. He is a hustler. He won't stop. But it's like I got to work with him a second time because we did Intruder together. And then I got to work with Dante Spinotti, the great cinematographer behind Heat and other great films. The Insider. I got to work with Hilary Swank, who's a two-time Oscar winner. And you know this as an athlete. You're only gonna get better by playing the quote unquote best, right? So you get an opportunity to spar the field of acting. You get a chance to spar with one of the best. You got to take that opportunity.
Exactly.
And so that was part of the challenge for me, and that was part of the incentive, rather, for me to step on board this particular film and become this character of Derek Tyler. In addition to that, there was also this element of watching this character just completely get deconstructed throughout the film, because he has to go through so much, and he built so much, and then he lost so much. And I hadn't had a character that had to go through that much in one movie my entire career. So it was definitely a step in the right direction for me.
So before I let you get out of here, and again, I appreciate you for being so gracious with your time.
Thank you, bro.
I'd like to do a rapid fire segment that I call Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
Let's do this. Let's get it.
Let's do it.
You're a native of the DMV. The Washington football team is in search of a name. Pick the new name.
Ooh. There's so many are taken. You got me. You got me. You got
Yes.
me.
Yes.
You got me.
Yes.
You got me so
Yes.
good. You got
And
me
that's
so
his
good.
squad. Chase Young and everything.
All right,
That's his squad.
You got me. I can't. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be tough, right? Like you want something that's tough, and it's just Senators is not tough, so it's like you got to come up with something else, and Rams, Lions, all that stuff, Bears, all that stuff is taken. So,
well,
it's
as
really
a Detroiter, people will argue with me whether the Lions are actually tough or not. That is my squad.
That is your squad.
But one thing I do know you tough at is ping pong. So
yes, I'm a pong player.
Who is someone that you feel like even that person can probably beat me because they're so nice?
Wow. At Pong, I'd have to say my man Omar Miller or my man Torrey Kittles. Either one of those cats. Those are like my top two competition for sure. For sure.
So we got to set this up. We can socially distance and do this ping pong thing all day.
Do you play?
No, I wish I could play.
Okay.
I want to take some lessons though.
It's good. It's fun. It's fun. I love it. I actually love it.
Star Trek or Star Wars? Which is your favorite?
Okay. The first three Star Wars, I think, are just unmatched. I got to leave it at that. The first three Star Wars are unmatched. I'm actually teaching my son right now the original. I showed him the Wrath of Khan, right? And then I showed him the new updated version of Star Trek. So I'm teaching them both right now.
So this may be controversial.
Okay.
It may be cultural, but I've never seen Star Trek nor Star Wars.
I don't think it's controversial.
You think it's cultural? You think it's cultural? Because I've seen every Black movie 100 times.
No, I think that's a matter of exposure.
Exactly.
I think that's simply a matter
of exposure. I got to expand my horizons.
Yeah, but I would say start off with Star Wars for sure.
All right,
Start
bet.
off with Star Wars.
So along with
Star
getting your
Trek, I will say this: Star Trek was more diverse. When you go back and watch it, Star Trek was extremely diverse, even as a TV series.
so I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm gonna have to step my game up. Along
There you
with
go.
getting your start on Broadway, you're also a fan. Now, let me start that over. Along with getting your start on Broadway, give me your favorite production of all time.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna say uh, favorite production that I was in or that I just saw.
How about both? The favorite Broadway production you was in and the best one that's been done or that you saw.
Hmm.
You got to enlighten me. You got to broaden my horizons. So now I know what I need to go check out.
I mean, nothing is up now. So nothing is up now. I would say when I saw Doubt on Broadway, that was kind of a game changer for me because I watched this production, and at the end of that production, I still had doubt. Like,
Mm,
like I remember being like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he did it. And I remember that being such a compelling feeling because the writing led me in that direction, the acting led me in that direction. And I remember thinking, how do you I was really impressed with that. I remember feeling really impressed with that. So I'd say doubt for sure.
and
Yeah.
last but not least, in a career full of accomplishments, what is something else that you hope to still accomplish?
If it's on a personal level, I feel like my greatest job has nothing to do with acting or production. My greatest job will be to somehow, some way raise two kids that give back
Mhm,
to society. I don't know if that means they become social workers.
mhm,
They don't need to be president, but I want them to contribute. And I think, I don't need them to have fame and celebrity, but I
mhm.
need them to contribute. And I want them to have that energy that is a giving energy towards society. And and that to me would be my greatest accomplishment because I can now see already how easy it is to lose your kids to the temptations that are out there right now, whether it's the trappings of fame and celebrity, drugs and addiction.
Mhm.
Um, there's no judgment coming from me. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, wow.
hard to raise kids. So I think that would be my greatest accomplishment is to make sure both kids are, individuals that contribute to society and give back to their community.
Well, Michael Ealy, you're a class act,
Thank you, sir.
a talented performer. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you joining me on the Renaissance Man